Radio. Watermelon kombucha, and I am so excited for today's episode. To say that she is a boss babe is definitely an understatement, and I am so excited to just dive in and to see what she's got for us today. And of course, I am talking about the one and only Nicole Kapninson, and I am so excited because she is the owner of Meraki and Nicole Spirits, and she also has an amazing giveaway for you guys today. So we will be drawing about 4:30 a winner for a bottle of gin and breakfast for two at Meraki, which is the most vibey place I've ever been to. So with that, I want to give a warm welcome to Nicole. Hi, Nicole.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
I am so excited to be sitting down with you here today.
It sounds so weird. I'm like, this is the first time on the radio.
Yes, it definitely gives you a little bit of this is what I sound like kind of experience, right?
Yeah.
And you sound fantastic, though.
Oh, good. Okay.
You sound perfect.
Good.
Perfect. So I definitely have tons of questions for you because, like I said, you are a boss babe. Like,
Aww.
I've been following you for years. We've been friends for a long time on Instagram, huh?
A long time.
A long, long time. And I've just watched you grow, and I've just been in true awe of what you've built, an empire, really.
Oh, thank you.
You are so, so welcome. So I want you to walk us through a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are today.
Okay. Where should I start?
I mean, at the beginning.
Okay, so I am a restaurant girl, born and raised in Albuquerque. My father had, I think he's had 34 restaurants in New Mexico. So I grew up in that world, and I had a half brother and sister, but they were a lot older, so it was pretty much like an only child. So I was always at the restaurants. I really didn't have babysitters. If my parents had to go somewhere, they kind of just left me there with the staff that has worked for us for years. So literally every single day of my life, and still to this day, I'm at a restaurant.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's in your blood.
Yeah, it's just like second nature.
And I mean, you can really see that in everything you create too, because everything, like I said, is curated to each nod. Because I've been to, I think, all of your restaurants, and I've been to some of your family restaurants too, and you've just really taken it to that next level, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I run my restaurants totally different than my family does, and they're just a lot more old school than I am, and I've learned a lot from them, but I kind of taken my own course and kind of modernized things.
I think that's a perfect way to put it, very modern, and that's something that I think is so unusual to see in Albuquerque, because you just don't really necessarily get that modern experience where you go in and you're like, this is very Instagrammable.
Yes, that's exactly what I said when I was designing Meraki, and my boyfriend helped me with everything, and everything I wanted in there, I told him I wanted to be Instagrammable. So everything from my food, from my coffees, from the decor, it's just so important nowadays to have that. And I also wanted it to feel like you weren't in Albuquerque. All of my places with Nob Hill Bar and Grill, it had this very big city vibe to it. So I just love that you can kind of go into a place and disappear from, Albuquerque for a little bit.
It's totally an escape. That's
Yes.
a perfect way to say it.
Yeah.
Yes, I do feel like I'm stepping into somewhere else.
Yes.
And where did you kind of get the inspiration for Meraki when you were, creating that space?
So I planned a trip to Greece in like 7 days.
Oh my gosh.
So when I found out that the new owners of Nob Hill were going to actually purchase the restaurant, and it was like, I was just so excited that I didn't know if I could ever take a trip like that ever again or in the near future. So I planned a trip to Greece, and my best friend came, and we literally booked our tickets 7 days before we left. And we went to Mykonos first island, and it was just the most amazing. I mean, from the decor there, everyone has this idea that Mykonos looks like kind of cheesy with like the columns that you can buy at Hobby Lobby and the statues and the blue ceiling and the blue like everywhere, and it's totally not. It's like all these organic materials and concrete and stone, and the only blue that you actually see is the ocean. And then Greece has the most amazing coffees, like the Greek frappe that I have on my menu. That is kind of people probably know it from that whole Dragana craze that was all over Instagram. Do you remember that? When
yes,
everyone's
I do.
like whipping the coffees.
Yep.
So that's a Greek thing. And I sound like my dad right now, like, oh, that came from the Greeks or whatever, but it totally did.
Right.
So we would wake up every morning, we would have like these amazing coffees, and you're just surrounded by like all this beauty. And so I come back home to Albuquerque, and I had just sold Nob Hill, and I really didn't want to do anything at the time. I was like in the process of buying my mother's restaurant, and that was just a disaster and fell through. And I'm so thankful that that didn't happen. So I was just kind of helping my dad out, and COVID happened. And we had this banquet room that we never used, and it was the best part of the entire shopping center. Like, it's on a hard corner of Eubank and Wantabo. You can see the park. There's grass around it. And I'm like, okay, why don't we make this a coffee shop? And it worked, and it's been awesome. And oh my God, I'm so glad to be out of the nightclub business and doing coffee, because people are so much like friendlier.
People like caffeine.
And I don't have to cut people off. I'm like, have as much coffee as you want.
Yeah, you're like 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Just keep doing it.
Yes, totally.
I got goosebumps when you were kind of like telling me and like walking me through that, because I like picture you like walking into this space and just like looking and going like, this is going to be something.
Totally.
Oh,
yeah.
I love it. And it has great lighting too. Like you said,
it
that
has
corner.
The best lighting. Yeah.
Like all day long.
Totally.
It's
yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
It's so, so perfect.
Thank you.
So I love that inspiration, because I do kind of feel like I'm going to Greece a little bit. And I'm like, thankfully, I can go to Greece. Had you been to Greece before?
Only when I was 6, so I didn't remember it. And, a lot of people don't necessarily get the decor, like the inspiration, but a really good Greek friend of mine walked in, and he's like petting the walls, and he's like, oh my God, these are like the walls in Mykonos. I can't believe it. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for noticing that, because that's exactly what I did.
Well, yeah, because it has like a texture.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
It's so, so good. And your furniture is so good.
Thank you.
Like, it's just so crisp and clean. It's like a vibe.
Thank you.
And we had, well, not we, but I attended an event last Thursday at Meraki, and it was a perfect place to have a party.
It's quaint and it's small. And, I've done these huge restaurants where we have like 300 capacity and then a banquet room, and it's a lot. And so it's perfect. It's just like, I'm happy with the small right now.
Well, it's the perfect size, because you open up those doors and then it just becomes like an open outdoor space.
Huge patio. And everyone loves patios.
Oh my gosh. and like patio season, we're like entering green. Woohoo!
Yay, finally.
So that's fantastic news for that to happen.
I wonder if they can finally like allow dogs, because obviously I have the whole time.
Right? You're like,
I haven't cared. I'm like, bring your dogs. We have treats.
I know. My friend, she wanted to go yesterday, and she's like, oh, I just got a new puppy. And I was like, Meraki is puppy approved.
Yes. Puppy approved.
Puppies and coffee.
best.
Like, can you think of a better combination? No, not at all. Now, so at Meraki, do you have a favorite drink on the menu?
Okay, so in the morning, I have, it's funny because I'm not a huge coffee drinker. I have like 2 sips. Everyone makes fun of me.
Oh, that's
like,
so funny.
even
Of
in
course.
Greece. Yeah, my best friend's like, oh, here she goes with her 2 sips of coffee. But I do love coffee. I just can't drink a lot of it or else I'm just bouncing off the walls. But my favorite drink is the cappuccino freddo. So it's a whipped espresso, and we whip it with powdered sugar, and we pour it over milk of your choice, either whole milk or almond milk, and it's so good.
Oh my gosh, that sounds really good. I would do it over whole milk, I think. I always just like the creaminess of whole milk, you know?
I know, whole milk is the best. Like, it just it foams a lot better. I don't do the whole milk, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that I'm putting on the list, and I definitely want to try. It's the Fredo, right?
Yes.
I want to try that too. Every
So
time,
good.
but every time I've been going recently, it's been in the evening.
Well, okay, so my favorite evening drink.
That too, yes. Well, and I also just that turmeric latte.
Oh,
That
the
one
golden
is
milk is so good.
Good.
Yeah, I really like that.
I got that with like a shot of espresso, and then because it has those rose petals on it, it's like so Instagrammable.
Right.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And your girls that work there are seriously the sweetest things ever.
They're the best. Yeah, I've always been blessed with such amazing staff, and it's so crazy because all the staff that I've ever had in my life, they're all in school. They're going to go do something else. They all leave me at some point, which is like so like hard.
Well,
but
yeah, you get attached.
yeah, but I've like trained myself like, okay, like you're gonna go be like something amazing, and you're not gonna be with me forever. But while I have them, it's just a blessing for sure.
Oh, that's so awesome. But yeah, I love all of your
Yeah, they're so
girls.
sweet.
They're the sweetest. Like I really do appreciate them. Okay, so go back. So
Okay.
bevies in the evening.
Okay, so I'm like such a cocktail girl. I'm a little mixologist. So my favorite one right now, let's see. I would say the Nicole 87 is my favorite. So it was actually inspired by the Lavender 99 at Los Poblanos. So they were one of the first ones to pick up my gin, which we used their lavender in my gin. And they put it in the Lavender 99. So Lavender 99 was modeled off of a French 75. Do you know what a French 75 is?
I don't.
So it's a classic cocktail, and it's gin, a lemon press, simple syrup, and you top it with champagne. So the Lavender 99, which we call it the Nicole 87 at Meraki, it's the exact same thing, is a take on the French 75. So it's gin, lavender simple syrup, a violet flower liqueur, which gives it like this really pretty purple, a lemon press, and then you top it with champagne.
Oh my gosh.
It's so good.
That's what I should have had yesterday.
Yes.
I'm having regrets.
Come whenever and you have it.
Although I did have the old fashioned, and that was delicious.
It's really good.
It's really, really
You're
good.
a whiskey girl.
I do like whiskey, and I never knew that about myself.
So everyone always continues to ask, like, are you going to do whiskey, do a whiskey, do a whiskey? And when I was doing the cocktail menu at Meraki, I only wanted additive-free spirits, and I wanted everything I could find to be a woman-owned spirit or wine. And I had the hardest time finding a whiskey. And so I'm like, okay, well, maybe I need to do a whiskey, but I just don't have the palate for it. Like, I can't do something that I don't love.
Exactly.
You know?
But what if you made one that you do love?
Yes. So I think I could do that. As long as I can like do it additive free, and because all of my stuff, like Meraki, my spirits, everything, like it doesn't have any fake sugars, weird additives or dyes or colors or anything like that. So if I could, then I might think about it.
Well, yeah, and that's what I love, because you know that you can, go to your place, or you can get the spirits, and you know that you're having something that you're not going to feel like bad after you have it.
Totally.
And that's super important.
It's so crazy because like people go like crazy on Screwball or Fireball, and the FDA doesn't make you put ingredients on your bottles like in spirits, which is the craziest thing to me, because the stuff that goes into it is like insane. And the FDA actually, it's really funny, they don't allow us to say that we use non-GMO corn. which is so weird.
That is super weird.
Yeah, but you can use all these chemicals and then not list it as well. So I don't know. It's like, it's crazy. So I'm definitely one of those people, like, as when it comes to wine and spirits, like, the hangover is way less if there's no additives.
Exactly.
And it tastes better.
True.
You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love your vodka and I love your gin.
Thank
and
you.
I didn't even know I was a gin girl. But
no
I
one,
am.
Yeah, a lot of people.
I'm like, I really like gin.
So that's so funny because I get the most compliments about the gin from people that don't drink gin. You know, like most gin people, like they know what to expect. They're like, okay, yeah, that has juniper. Oh, but you added lavender. Like that tastes really good. People that love Hendrix love the nickel gin because it's very similar. We have like a citrus component in there, which, you know, makes it more drinkable than a London Dry.
Right.
You know, London Dry is like your dad's old like gin martini.
That's what I think of when I think of gin is like
pine tree,
yes.
and you're like, oh my god. I remember like my parents used to have Bombay Sapphire on their bar, and every party I had in high school, I'd like put it out. No one would touch it.
They're like, no, thank
They're
you.
like, we're not gonna drink that.
So it's funny that you say that. So my dad, he was doing this thing with gin and he was like soaking raisins, I think, in gin. It's supposed to be some sort of like good thing. Like if you have a cold or if you do that, like it's supposed to be like good for, you know, fixing ailments. And so my friend and I, we thought it was like, we're like, that bottle had just been sitting in the pantry for like ever, right? And I'm like, my dad isn't like paying attention to that. So we were like, well, we'll grab this and we'll, you know, give it a go. We took a drink and we're like, never mind. That's why that's still
Totally.
there.
And people like have the worst stories about gin because I think it's like one of those things like they try and they don't know how to drink it, but it's amazing.
It is amazing.
Gin is one of like mixologists and bartenders' favorite spirit to use because it's so versatile and it blends so well in drinks. And it's so funny. Like I've had so many amazing mixologists at my restaurants, and you know, a woman will walk in and say, make me whatever you want, just not with gin. And of course, they reach for the gin bottle and they make it with gin and they have no idea and they love it.
Oh, that's so funny.
You know?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I remember because I went to Nob Hill Bar and Grill actually for my Dirty 30 party. Mm-hmm. And you had this drink that had like dry ice in it. Uh-huh. And that was such a cool experience because I hadn't ever seen anything like that before.
Yeah, that was something the old owners had started, and we continued to do it like on the weekends, and people just go crazy for stuff like that because you can't find it in Albuquerque. You know, it's like you go to a bar and they're like, do you want like a vodka soda or a vodka cranberry? So
that's kind of the option.
Is that my option?
And then like a maraschino cherry.
Yeah.
Like, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. Like,
I'm not going to take a picture of this. I don't know. I mean, I still will, but I don't know.
My dad told me a story. So back in the day, I used to eat those things like they were like going non-existent.
Same.
Yeah. Well, so one day my dad told me that they were made from paper. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was true or not, but so I continued to tell people this. And I'm leaving one of my dad's restaurants the other day, and I hear the staff talking, and they're like, you know, those are made from paper, right? And I'm like, oh my God. The legend continues.
It just
He's
continues.
continuing to tell people this. I'm like, why do you keep serving them then? You know?
Yeah, for anyone that's listening, maraschino cherries, they're made out of paper.
They're made from paper.
You heard it here.
Yeah. And we don't use them at any of my restaurants. We have that really good Italian Luxardo cherry.
That's the only thing I use because you recommend the yes. So like I had messaged you. I was like, okay, I have no idea. I wanted to get it for my husband. I wanted to like get him like a whole setup for old fashions.
I remember.
And I was like, help me. And you like totally walked me through, and I'm totally hooked on those cherries.
They're the best.
Best.
So good.
He doesn't like eat the cherry, so I'm happy because I get to have two.
Oh yeah, when they make Josh a drink at Meraki or Mykonos, they always give him 2 cherries because I always steal his.
Oh, that works out perfect.
Yeah.
I love that. That's excellent. So I want to get a little bit more into Nicole spirits.
Okay.
And kind of your journey, like getting into that, because that's something completely different. I mean, I know that because you're such a good mixologist and you create these cocktails, it kind of seems like a natural progression for you to move into that. But that's like a whole other beast to conquer.
Yeah. Okay. So that started, I keep saying 3 years ago, but I think it's like almost 4 years ago now. About 4 years ago. So it started more, well, for 2 reasons. I love mixology, and I love making cocktails, and I've always been super picky with what I use and what goes into it. And I just, I'm like, okay, I think I can make a really good vodka and a really good gin, just because, I can taste different vodkas, and I can tell you, I can blind taste them and tell you, like, okay, this is crap, or this is good, or
right,
whatever. So that kind of was the reason. And then also the restaurant girl in me was thinking, like, okay, it costs $350,000 for a liquor license in New Mexico, and if you make your own spirits, you can have 3 places with liquor as long as it's local and not have to pay for that $350,000 license.
Smart.
So that's how it started. And then it very quickly turned away from that. And I realized, like, I don't want to run 3 more places.
Right.
I can't even find enough staff to work at my places now. Like, there's no way I want to run 3 places. And the money really was in just production and distribution. So the dream of all of these tap rooms was like, okay, let's not waste our time. Let's not try and get food and a chef and staff and all of these things. And, we bought a building. We bought the old Alpine Sausage building, and we were going to do everything there. And then we're like, okay, we don't need it because we're not going to have a tasting room. And one of my big things about not having a tasting room is I saw how badly the breweries really hurt the restaurant industry, and especially the nightclub business, because they were able to serve liquor till 11. They didn't have a liquor license, and then we would get everyone like bombarding the doors at 11:30 on Fridays and Saturdays, wasted off of this beer that's like 11% alcohol. We couldn't serve anyone, so it really like took a toll on the restaurant industry, and I didn't want to do that. I really wanted just restaurants to serve my spirits and help these restaurants, with their business and not take away from it. So, and that's what we did. So we sold that building because we weren't going to use it for a restaurant. And we went and got like a really huge warehouse down in like the old sawmill area. And we have so much room to grow. And we don't have any tasting rooms. We don't let people there. It's just like for our production, it's like our bottles, and that's it.
Oh, that's so cool. So I didn't even realize that everything was here in-house.
Everything's made in New Mexico. So, and then all of my bottles, all of my boxes, even my tops to my bottles are all American made, which was super important to me as well. So, nothing is from across the border, China or anything like that. I wanted to keep it as American as I could.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
You can even get like corn from China for your spirits right now.
Can you?
Yeah.
You can get anything.
You can get anything from China. And I'm like, no, I want to keep it all American made.
Yeah, keep it. And then, the more local, the better, because, then you're giving people jobs.
Well, and what's so another thing I learned in this whole process is like, okay, do we need this whole like water filtration, reverse osmosis system to make our spirits better? And one of our good friends that was a distiller is like, that the Santa Fe aquifer is the second best aquifer in the United States, right?
Oh,
I'm like,
I didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that. We actually have really good water here. Like, I drink tap water. I've always drank tap water my whole life here. And so we did like some test runs, and we did it with like this purified water, and then we did it with the aquifer water, and it was so much better with just the natural water.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if like the minerals and stuff like that are kind of in it.
Totally. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You're like, so even like local New Mexico water is also in it.
And we say the Santa Fe aquifer water because when you think like New Mexico water, you're like, is it like Rio Grande?
Yeah, you're like, do we have water? Like, I don't think we do.
Just like when you go to a restaurant, they're like, do you want bottled or like some of the Rio Grande's finest? And you're like, ooh, like,
Rio Grande's finest
we'll
all the way.
Rio Grande finest, yeah.
That was really interesting what you were telling with me about the breweries. Like, I hadn't even ever thought about that, how they would just like be there and then they'd leave and then they'd show up, and you missed out on all of that experience with that clientele.
It's been a great, it's been great income for New Mexico. Like, breweries have been amazing. And God, I think we have like the most breweries per capita than any other state, which is insane. But the laws, which they just changed the laws, which is I'm totally on board with. But before it was totally just not fair that you can like stay open till 11 and we can only stay open till 2.
Right.
And by that point, it's like, well, what's the point? Like we can't even serve them because
they're trashed.
Yeah.
You're like, get it together, people.
So I just didn't want to do that.
Yeah. And then is it, beer before liquor, never been sicker. Isn't that the rule anyways?
God, especially craft beer.
Yeah. And just I just think like the volume, like there's just so much liquid.
Yeah. It's a lot.
So that's why I definitely like hard a little bit more, because then that way it's like not so much volume too. I'm not that big into beer at all.
I'm not a beer girl. I've tried
too.
Yeah.
Like when it got kind of really big, I was like, okay, I can do this. And I'm like, no, I can't do it.
I can do like a Coronita like twice a year.
That's kind of me.
Yeah.
The same. I'm like, oh, okay, the lightest.
Yeah.
Like blonde.
Yeah.
And then I'll totally go for it.
Totally.
Oh, so a little bit more about going into the spirits. So
okay.
How do you even like develop something like that? Like where do you begin? How do you get there's just like so much,
So we bought like this little tiny still, like, I don't know, it was like $300. And we had a distiller that first, was interested in working with us. And we were trying some things and we're like, oh man, this is not going well. This is not good.
You're like, these mixtures, you're like, these are like, we're totally gagging or what?
And I'm like, okay, maybe we're barking up the wrong tree. Maybe we shouldn't do this. And then another distiller in town that has just been so wonderful, he was like, well, let me give it a shot. And we did a ton of test runs, but the first one was like, oh, okay, so we can do this. And then it just became part of like, let's add, so the process of actually making our gin is totally different than like typical gin. They use a gin basket and they kind of put everything kind of like a tea bag, and it kind of goes.
So they can like soak it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we do is we do a maceration process. So we put the different botanicals in at different times, and that allows us to really get the exact flavor we want. So, when you use a gin basket, you're like, well, it is what it is.
You're just getting all of the things.
Like hopefully the grapefruit you get this time peel is the same grapefruit peel as the last time, but it might not be. So we do the maceration process and we put everything in at different points of the distillation process so that we make sure we're putting it in at the right time and the right amount. So like every time like we use lavender, you never know if the lavender is a little different than the time before, or the grapefruit or whatever it is. So our process is just a little different, and it just makes it more easier to do every single time.
Right. It creates the consistency that you're looking for in your product.
That being said, so with the vodka, we had to get the vodka down first because gin comes from vodka. So that's why we did the two. I probably tried like 47 different samples of vodka before.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we did like 47 like different runs. And like each time it's like, okay, here's 12 new bottles. Here's 12 new bottles. And it's funny, my distiller is like, she's going to pick number 12. I know she is. And sure enough, without me knowing he said that, I chose number 12.
Oh my gosh.
And it was the one with no additives.
So you just like, you have that palette.
It's just like so pure. It was like, I'm like, are you tricking me? Like, is this water? Is this watered down? Like, what's going, like, is this a joke? And he's like, nope. He's like, it's just the one that's additive free. I'm like, why did we mess with everything else?
Why were you wasting my time this whole time?
There's like sugars, there's citric acid, there's all kinds of different things that you can add. And not everything is chemicals. Like some things are natural, but like Grey Goose has a ton of sugar. Tons.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Which is fine. And same thing with like some of my favorite gins are Old Tom gins. Their Old Tom gins are an Old Tom gin because of the addition of sugar. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but I'm just like such a huge, like, I'm a health nut, and I wanted to create something that clearly I did this to gear towards women, because whatever women like, men will follow.
Oh, yeah.
They're like puppies.
Exactly. Like, because she's going to be like, well, I want that one. And he's like, okay, I'll have that too.
Yeah, I'll
that
have that
sounds
too.
perfect.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. So I had no idea that gin came from vodka.
Yeah.
I did not know that connection.
It's the base. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that works out perfectly then. So I do really, really like the flavors in the gin. Like you said, it has a little bit of like that lavender. The juniper isn't super strong in it either. Like they just all complement each other so, so nicely.
Yeah, and I still wanted that incorporation of the juniper. So without juniper, it's not gin.
Right.
And there's a lot of gins out there right now that taste more like a flavored vodka, like almost like a flavored lemon vodka. And I didn't want that. I wanted it to obviously stand out as a gin, but I wanted it to just be more approachable. And so when I first started Nicole, it was Nicole Co. Botanical Spirit Company. And then we dropped that because we didn't want to do a flavored vodka.
Gotcha.
Or like anything with botanicals in the vodka. But that has always been like in the back of my mind, is I always have wanted the gin to be very botanical forward. And it is.
Totally is. Yeah. It's delicious.
Thank you.
So do you like to do like a gin martini? Is that like something that you like doing?
This gin does not, it's a good martini with a twist. I will say that I would not put olive juice in it.
I wouldn't think so either.
No, it's not a dirty martini gin, for sure.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, the vodka is like dirty martini's best friend.
Yes. Oh, and the vodka is so good.
Yeah.
I made a crazy kombucha recipe with
I saw that.
It was really fun.
Yeah.
I was like, why not have kombucha? Like, it's going to be like
There's
a little
lot
mixture.
Of kombucha cocktails right now.
I've been seeing that. I'm like, were people watching me? No, I'm just kidding.
Other states have them like on draft.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, it's just like a drafted kombucha cocktail, which is really cool.
That is really, really cool. And I think a couple of breweries I've gone to, they like serve kombucha. And I usually get that instead because I actually prefer that like over beer, like you said. And I think I also, you were saying with how the FDA doesn't like make them put things on the labels and things like that. So when, you're doing vodka and you're thinking, okay, this one's low calorie, but you don't really actually know what's in it and how many calories it has. So I love that yours is like, nope, nothing.
Yeah, no additives.
That's fantastic. I love it.
And it's just an advertising game. I mean, Tito's is so popular because it's like gluten-free. All vodka is gluten-free.
So they're just like,
it's
gluten-free.
Cute. Yeah, you guys are cute for saying that. But all vodka is gluten-free. People still ask me, they're like, well, is your vodka gluten-free? I'm like, yes.
Yeah,
of course it is.
Most alcohols are, besides beer.
Yeah, there's some things that might have gluten in it, but vodka is gluten-free.
Yeah. Well, when the whole gluten thing, everyone got crazy for that. I love pasta, so there's no way I'm ever going to.
Oh, I love bread way too much.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to be happening. So it's about 4:30, so I want to draw for our winners. Okay. So let me get them.
Okay.
And I'm going to have you draw them. You can definitely enjoy your kombucha first. I brought kombucha for both of us.
She brought the most amazing kombucha. It's Watermelon Wonder.
Yeah. Have you tried this one before?
No. It's so good.
It's really, really good.
Okay.
So is this person going to be for the breakfast or for the gin?
Let's do the gin because we were just talking about it.
Perfect. I love it.
Okay. So the winner is Rebecca Padilla.
Perfect. Hi, Rebecca. Congratulations.
Yay. You get some gin.
Yes.
I hope you like it. If not, you will.
Exactly. If you don't like gin, now you do.
Now you do.
So you'll know.
Okay, so you want to do the breakfast now?
Yeah, let's do the breakfast.
Okay, so the breakfast for two is John R. Nelson.
All right, John, you're going to be in for a real treat.
Yay.
Because Meraki it's my most favorite place.
Oh, thank you.
I seriously am purposely creating events so I can go there.
I love it. It's my favorite place right now, too. I love going to work. I always create these places that I love going to work. Like, I never feel like I'm going to work, ever. I feel like I've, never worked a day in my life.
Well,
Seriously.
That's so perfect. Well, and you're always so happy. Like, when I go in there, you're always just, soaking it in, and you're just, doing this and this, and everything's, so clean. It's so neat. It's so tidy. And you have, a little market in Meraki, too, huh? Mm-hmm. I should probably talk a little bit about that, because you're supporting local businesses within your local business.
Yeah. So, our little market. So, a lot of the things in there we make. So, everything on our menu, I wanted everything on our menu to be able to be purchased. So like our jams, our spices, our olive oil, our coffee, our syrups that we make. So we make all of our syrups for our coffee drinks. So you can buy all of that. But then we also have like these wonderful candles that are local. What else do we have right now?
Trying to think.
Okay, so a lot of the things that I get, they're not all of them are local, but they're made from like these really small companies that you can't buy on Amazon or anything
small
like
business.
that. Yeah, so like my greeting cards or my birthday cards are like all recycled paper by these like two wonderful girls. I should send you their Instagram because it's so cute. And then they give part of their money to like, it's just like
they pay it forward.
Yeah, pay it forward type businesses, which is awesome. So yeah, and then our ice cream that we just added.
Ice cream! Oh, I saw it. I saw you post about it
for the affogatos. Mm-hmm. So that is actually a good friend of mine. His name is Dimitri, and he's Greek. And seriously, Greece has like the most amazing ice cream. Like it's so crazy. I don't know. I think it's just because they treat their animals so much better, and they're like when you open an egg from like one of your own chickens and it's like this orange yolk and you're like, what the heck is that color?
Yes.
So like everything is like that in Greece. Like even the watermelon is like the craziest color you've ever seen. It's like almost looks red.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So their ice creams that they make there are just like totally incredible. So he makes this amazing ice cream and it tastes just like the ice cream you get in Greece. So we're using that to put in our affogatos and it's so good.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I want to try them.
So the I would suggest the boozy one because it has frangelico in it.
Okay.
Espresso and caramel, and it's so good. It's like kind of like a milkshake almost.
Yeah, that's what it kind of sounds like. Yeah. It's like a dessert almost. Like you could do it as like a dessert, like ice cream.
And then you have to go to bed, like right after.
Like, this is so good, I need a nap.
Yeah.
That's the kind of food I'm here for. Yes. That's for sure. Do you have some favorite things on Meraki's menu?
So let's see. The avocado toast is one of my faves, which is so funny because I feel like Albuquerque was like, I feel like it's such a new thing here. People are like, yeah, avocado toast?
It's about time.
Yeah. I feel like it's very new within like the last 5 years. So the avocado toast is my favorite. And then the lucamades. So those are these like amazing fresh fried little donut holes. And they're soaked in honey and they have powdered sugar and crushed walnuts. And they're like amazing. You can usually only get them at Greek Fest, which is only once a year. And so I'm like, okay, well, maybe we should put these on the menu. And then my chef hated me because he's like, really, Nicole, I have to figure this out.
But you'll figure it out.
And then now he's fine.
Yes, exactly.
That's how it always goes. I'm like, so can we do poached eggs? And he like gives me this look and walks away. And then a day or two later, we have poached eggs.
Oh, that's so funny. When I worked at the restaurant, I remember like people ordering poached eggs and I'd go in the back and I'm like, okay, so these need to be poached. And they'd give me this look. And I'm like, just do it. Like, it's fine.
It's hard to poach an egg.
It is hard to poach an egg. It's really hard. It's not as easy as it looks. I feel
this pain, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, we got a sous vide, so that's supposed to be really, really good for like poaching and stuff. So I do want to try that.
Yeah.
Because you can like...
You can do poached eggs.
Yeah. You can like make them like exactly how you want. So depending if you want like a certain hardness on the outside and the yolk, just like all of those things.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, just a little, egg information for you guys. Which is super important. Well, I personally love the goddess toast.
Oh, that's one of my faves too.
I literally think I had an out-of-body experience when I had the goddess toast.
So the Greek yogurt we make in-house, and it's just like so rich and creamy, but like so it still feels like healthy,
Yes,
like
no, totally.
It totally is. But it's like, yeah, it's really good. It's one of my favorites.
No, it's so good. And I agree with you because a lot of times, like if you have like something creamy, you're like thinking like it isn't good for you.
Yeah.
It's like feels heavy, but you don't feel heavy after you have your toasts. Like they're like light, and then like the way you like do the bread, and then you have like flowers on it. It's just so good.
Thank you.
I literally like was having dreams about goddess toast.
Oh, good.
Like goddess afterwards. Dreams. Yes, exactly. And then I made that one toast and you're like, hey, that looks familiar. I was like, well, a girl can dream over here. I'm just trying to survive until I get over there until next time.
Right.
Which, here we are. Now, what are kind of your next big plans? What do you have for the future, whether it be with Meraki, Nicole? Do you have like
So
next
I'm
steps?
like constantly thinking of restaurant ideas. Like that's all I do all the time. So anytime I travel, I'm like, okay, is Albuquerque ready for this? And I'm like, no, not yet.
But please, we need it.
yet.
Please.
But I have a Mexican restaurant concept that I would love to do one day, and I will. I have like an old school steakhouse idea that I'll do. And I don't know if I'll necessarily do them here or if they'll be somewhere else. And I don't have any plans right now to do them, but at one point in my life, I will. So the next realistic plan is getting Nicole out there. So we are going to launch in Arizona this summer.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So September will probably be the month that we do it. And I have one of my old, it's funny because everything comes full circle. When you lose those good employees, then they come back. So one of my most amazing employees that I've ever had at Nob Hill Bar and Grill, he was my bar manager. He lives in Arizona, and he's going to kind of be in charge of selling out there to get everything started, and then we'll bring on more girls and stuff like that. And then so we'll take on Arizona in 2021, and then from there we'll go to Colorado, Texas, and California, and then Nevada. And then from there, distribution should be kind of seamless from there and kind of spread over through the United States and stuff like that.
Like, watch out, Southwest.
Yeah.
Here you come.
Yeah.
That's super exciting.
Yeah, thanks.
That's fantastic. And I wanted to make sure that everyone knew about your gold medal that you won for your gin, because this is huge.
Yeah, I didn't know it was actually huge. So my head of sales, I just told her, I'm like, okay, we need like some sort of like competition to enter. And so she looked some up, and our distiller's like, oh, you could enter this. The soonest one is this one. And the deadline was like in a week. And she's like, okay, well, I better just submit it so Nicole doesn't get mad. So, and she only submitted the gin because, of course, I was like counting pennies at that time. And we just launched, and it was $500 to enter. And so I'm like, just submit the gin, whatever. Let's see how it goes. And so we just got an email this week that we won a gold medal in the San Francisco World Spirit Competition. So we're like, okay, we'll pump the brakes. Let's not announce anything yet. Let's look up this competition and see what it's all about. So it's like one of the most prestigious awards you can actually get in the spirits world. It's like winning an Oscar, a Grammy, or a gold medal in the Olympics. Like my distiller is like, we just won a gold medal in the Olympics.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So what they do is, so it's these like renowned judges from around the world. They've either been like awarded distillers or bartenders or curators or bloggers, and they all come, and they're all separated, and everything is blind. So everything is blind tasted, and it's not like they're sitting next to each other like, oh, this one's good, or no, that one's not good because you can taste this or whatever. So they all like individually kind of choose what they want. And then they just give their what their choice is: gold, silver, or bronze, or nothing. And so we were like, okay, so this actually is a big deal. And we read a couple articles, and Forbes like announces the winners, which is like crazy. So I mean, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves and think like, okay, like what's going to happen next. But it's like one of those questions, like, you know, a lot of spirit companies need to win this award so that they can actually get global distribution, which we don't need to do that right now. But I mean, if, you know, someone comes up to us and says, hey, we saw your award and we want to start distributing you everywhere, then obviously we'll be very happy.
Well, absolutely. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, and like super, super exciting. And then that will kind of help hopefully give you then like, okay, are you going to enter the vodka now?
Yeah. So next year we'll enter the vodka for sure. So this is like how Tito's became Tito's, is that they got 2 gold medals and beat out Grey Goose. And so then after that, everyone's like, who the heck is Tito's? Like, what is this vodka? And from there, it kind of blew up.
Wow.
Yeah.
And will you enter the gin again? Is it something that it's good to like continue like 2-time gold?
Yeah, you can do it. You can do it again, but just the one is like, it's like, I don't know, whoever wins an Oscar, it's like, well, they can do another movie, but they already have one. They already have one Oscar. So it's like, do you really need another one? So we'll enter it. But I would love to just enter the vodka and kind of see how it does too.
That sounds weird. I mean, you could always be like the Michael Phelps of gin and vodkas.
Yeah.
You could have like 7 medals or something.
Yeah.
Why not? Well, that's super, super exciting.
Yeah, thanks.
That's perfect. And then if people want to purchase Nicole, where can they get it?
So we're about to be in a lot more like retail places, but for right now, so when we first launched, we made sure to keep it super, super local, and I always promote everyone to go to local places anyways. So Jubilation, all of the Kelly's Liquors, Quarters, Paradise Liquors, there's a number of places in Santa Fe that have it as well. Traeger's in Farmington has it. Distill in Farmington, the Kelly's in Las Cruces, and there's another liquor store down there too that has it. So we're in like 65 locations right now, and then Total Wine has it as well, and then very soon Whole Foods will have it.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's kind of all over, and then very quickly you'll be in Smith's and be like, oh, there it is.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait. And I'll be like, yes, I know her.
Yeah.
And I love the motto you have on the back of your gin and your vodka.
Thanks.
Will you share it with everyone?
Yeah, so it says, be particular with who you love and what you drink. And that's just, that's how I do everything in my life. I'm just one of those girls that if it's not a good drink, it's not worth the calories and it's not worth the hangover. So I don't just drink like a Cape Cod,
Agreed.
I would rather just have a water.
Same.
I only drink to like really enjoy an amazing cocktail. So yeah, I'm very particular with what I drink.
No, I love that. Absolutely. That's just like such a pretty motto too. I love that. And I love that you have your thumbprint on it, and the branding on it is just so good.
Thank you. Yeah, the person that did the branding is like amazing. He's one of the partners that's involved it's his brother, and he lives in California, and we kind of like told him, what we were thinking, and he created the woman's head, like he created that, and it was like, wow, like that's amazing. And I tweaked it a million times because I'm like, no, can you do her hair like this? Can you change her nose? Can you do this?
Yes, absolutely. I would be the
like,
same.
Oh my God, this girl's crazy. And it's perfect, and I love
but
it.
once it's perfect, it's perfect.
Yeah, and I wanted something that like could stand out, so you could just see that symbol, and like it's like Starbucks. You're like, oh, there's Starbucks. Oh, they have Nicole.
That's what I like. That's how I picture it, kind of like that Medusa, like the same kind of like that girl, like that strong woman.
Yeah,
like, that's kind of what the vibe I get when I drink your cocktails.
Yeah, thanks.
And like the perfect, like the cork, the way it pops out. It's just like, I love the experience.
Oh, thank you.
And it looks pretty out too. Some bottles you have, you're like, I'll just put it in there.
Totally. I wanted it to be, I wanted you to be able to put some flowers in it after if you wanted.
Yes, absolutely. And if someone wants to get a cocktail locally, you're in quite a few restaurants, aren't you?
Yeah. So, Los Poblanos, of course, the Lavender 99, one of my favorite cocktails. Ron Sauce and Vintage. Vintage actually has it on happy hour for $5. You can get a $5 martini.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, which is really cool. Let's see. La Chosa and Santa Fe. So we don't have any Santa Fe right now because we were just, when people open, you can't go bombard them like, hey, pick up a product. So La Chosa just picked us up this week, but we'll be in a lot more places in Santa Fe soon. Hooters has, they actually have a little QR code on all of the tables. So it's a Nicole menu. So there's Nicole cocktails that you can actually get at Hooters.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Get your wings and get your Nicole.
Yeah. Matuzzi's has it, all 3 locations. I think Matuzzi's 25 has a cocktail with it, or on their menu. I'm trying to think where else. There's like a number of places that have it, and there'll be more soon for sure.
I love that. And everyone will say, like, I'm having this. I know it's additive free, and I'm supporting a woman's business, a local women's business, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. And if anyone wants to follow your socials, where can they connect with Meraki and Nicole?
So Meraki is drink_Meraki, and then Nicole is Nicole Spirits. And yeah, you can find all of our stuff on there.
Perfect. And do you have any websites?
Yeah, the websites are on the Instagram, so you can get there through the Instagram.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. And then I'm hoping that people eventually be able to buy like Nicole Spirits online. That would be awesome.
Like the actual spirits. Mm-hmm. So yeah, our state is so like behind the times on all of that. But we're working to actually be able to do that. It takes like shipping your bottles to another state that allows that, and then shipping it back type thing.
Got it.
But we're working on it.
That's awesome, because I want to promote the heck out of that.
Ever since COVID, the laws are kind of changing drastically. So to make it easier to get alcohol, which is nice.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so pretty soon it'll
business.
be one of those things like you get online and you order it, and then you can get it delivered.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me here, Nicole. And I learned so much from you, and you're truly an inspiration, and I cannot wait to see what you have in store for us.
Oh, you're the best. Thank you for always being so sweet, and you support everything I do, and I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. I am here cheering you on 110%.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to see what you got coming up next.
Thanks.
Awesome. Well, happy Friday to you, and happy Friday to everyone else who is listening. And thank you for tuning in to Social Q. I'm your host, Ashley Buffington. Make sure you tune in next Friday at 4 p.m., where I'll be sitting down with Tyson Garcia from Rust is Gold Coffee. Hi guys, this is Ashley Buffington. I'm so excited to announce my new show, Social Q, on ABQ Solo Radio every Friday at 4 p.m. I'll be hosting sit-down chit-chats with local influencers, small business owners, as well as movers and shakers in our community. Each week, I will have giveaways from places that I love, and I know you'll love too. All you need to do is download the Tell ABQ app, tune into ABQ Solo Radio, and register to win through the app under Win with Ashley. That's Social Q with Ashley Buffington on ABQ Solo Radio every Friday at 4 p.m. live at tellabq.com.